Charlie, are you still planning on watching that new Home Alone or no?
I guess not now. I knew it was going to be a pile of shit. I just thought that there was a glimmer of hope because at least it reached back to the McAllisters. That was kind of my big thing.
That was it just even that, and I don't want to give anything away. It's Buzz. It's only Buzz.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentions Kevin, and like in a scene. It's very short. They still play a Buzz is stupid, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I was like, I get the fan service there, and that's probably the most enjoyable thing about this movie. But like, I hate the fact that bad guys can't be bad guys in movies anymore.
Yeah, it's true.
Especially in kids' movies.
I don't know why Harry and Marv, they redo it, and it's like, well, we have to make them charismatic. And now I don't mind it charismatic, but I was sickened to watch these two desperate people who are trying to save their home from this bratty kid. Like, they completely changed it around. I'm like, this is not something I'm enjoying watching. This isn't a comedy for me, and they're getting destroyed and dismantled. Harry and Marv were evil.
Yeah.
They weren't just trying to rob houses. They were legitimately, they would have murdered Kevin if they got the chance to do it. They said so.
There was a torture reference at the end where he was going to bite his fingers off one by one.
Go to the sequel. He had a gun pointed at Kevin.
That's true. He was going to kill a kid. That's 100% right.
Times have changed since we were young, man. I remember seeing Duke get staked through the chest on G.I. Joe.
Die, arrogant earth scum! No!
It's like, come on. We've gone so far away from reality in life and with kids shows and stuff like that. Think about Different Strokes with the child molestation and all that. There was heavy content out there, but it was real content. It made sense to have it out there. Now we just paint over it.
Freaks me out to think, especially as a parent today, that writers in Hollywood, and you can't tell me these were not children's movie writers. This is Mikey Day and the other dude who he works with constantly are like, from SNL, and they write older stuff. So don't tell me, I've heard people argue that it's like, all right, no, they're just writing for a children's movie and stuff like that. And it's like, no, that's not the case here. My biggest problem with this was they took what essentially was one of the best movies ever made.
Mm-hmm.
And that's arguably because it was one of the highest, earning movies of all time. But then they turn it around. They're like, and I get all the sequels sucked and stuff like that, but like you're ruining childhood in a way that's like, you're trying to make it so that way all the villains or antagonists of your stories are charismatic. Like, I get why Marvel does it and it works. You don't agree with them, but maybe you see their point, but they're still evil. You still got to stop it.
Right.
You can make characters that have no backstory, are not charismatic, and are just straight up evil. Are you going to give Hitler a backstory? Which I guess they have actually tried within the past 10 years.
Another 10 years, he'll be an anti-hero.
Yeah. What's funny too, though, is like, and the combination of Harry and Marv was like, yes, you're absolutely right. They were evil, but Harry was always more evil.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Marv was just this kind of like idiot accomplice. He was the Kramer of the duo. Obviously he was just like, he was the comic relief, clearly. And that was enough. That was fine. That was enough of a break in that tension that super evil stuff kind of like got blown over, and until an old man smacks him in the face with a shovel. So I don't know. I asked Dave this question, like, I think a couple days ago, where I was like, is there an SNL alternative like on YouTube? And I couldn't find one. And the reason I asked that is because I think that it's to the point now to where stuff like that is so sanitized that you got to just hope and cross your fingers that somebody comes along and does something like that on their own channel And they just, it's only going to take a couple people to turn around and be like, you know what, let's just write some good shit. Like, just do it. And then people will watch it or they won't. Like the SNL, the reason I mentioned that specifically is I tried watching one or two skits every so often of like the newest episode. And I don't remember which one it was. It was off the one where Macaulay Culkin's brother was on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it just wasn't funny. Yeah. It just wasn't funny. And it just, and to your point about like a Home Alone, like someone should come along and try to do like you can't rip off Home Alone, obviously, but you could do that type of sort of a movie and do it justice and bring those types of characters back. And
it's sad though. I mean, like that original content is, and even like Home Alone isn't too original, and it has its problems and its things, but it's fun. It's just straight up fun, like a Looney Tunes type of fun. And they can't even do that without apologizing for it. This movie apologizes for everything.
That's what I was talking about.
So stupid.
Yeah. We did the Christmas special, and we had Angelo Gothos on there from that movie, and it's like I said, it's like I didn't like that movie when I was younger, and I grew into that film and I appreciate it. And I think Home Alone is like on that level right now of Jaws, right? It's up there. That is one that you're not ever really going to come back to redo successfully. You can try it, but just leave it alone. It's a classic. Don't come back to it. 2 is okay. I can watch 2, but then I watched 3 the one time. It's like, this is just god awful. I didn't even bother with part 4, and I was really waiting to see what the two of you were going to say about this part before I even thought about watching it.
No, I was gonna throw it on, and then I saw that, and I was just like, not even gonna bother.
I judge a lot of the movies I watch now as I get older. If I rewatch them, then I like them.
Yeah,
it's I can do it, and I'm talking about like multiple rewatches, not just like another one to see if I like it. Like,
right.
Home Alone, and I said this in my review. I watch that movie every year. That and the second one. Now, the second one is a carbon copy, does exactly the same thing, just in a new setting. And it's just as funny, just as good. Everybody's just as great as it, except it just lacks a little bit of heart. The first one had just a little more heart to it, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And, but the second one does a pretty good job following up as a sequel.
Yeah.
Everything else, yeah. No interest in any of the other ones. I watched this because it was brand new and it was a huge thing, and I was like, I have to at least check it out and review it. I watched it. Has no heart, has no good comedy. It's not funny at all. They do not understand why the original was funny. It's just sucks. But like Home Alone, for 31 years, I've watched that every year around Christmas time. That tells me something. That tells me that's a good movie.
I'm a sucker for the old man that owns the toy store, though.
Yeah,
that the turtle dove scene always kind of gets me. Like where you're saying like there's not as much heart. I think it's there. I think it's different. It's just what it is. They swap it out, and maybe it doesn't translate as well. But I'm and then he gives it the turtle dove to the homeless woman at the end, and I'm like, it's just it's just
it does. And the little bit of heart that I say kind of takes away from it is because he's in the first one, he's learning his lesson about how important family is. True. The second one, he knows. They just tried to replay it like, I'm tired of it again, but then he mishaps, goes to New York. And then they try to play that up. Like, that's where the heart, like the frantic mother, like Catherine O'Hara played an amazing job of a frantic mother desperately trying to get home. See? And that ends when she walks in and they see each other, and like she's heartbroken how she could leave her child. You see it in her face. She doesn't have to say a word, and they're just staring at each other and hug. And then that family comes in. Mm-hmm. That's like the heart that I'm kind of talking. It just it was replayed. It was good. I liked it in the sequel, but it wasn't the same.
That's an excellent summary of the heart of that first film.
Hmm. You know what makes you realize though, when you're becoming a bitter old man, when what you focus on is number one, the fact that there was a number two just makes them terrible parents, which I think everyone agrees. But also, Did you guys ever think watching the first one she comes in the door, they have their moment, and then it's like within 5 minutes, the family walks in. And like, maybe because I'm a son of a bitch, I'm the only one that's like, I went through all that shit and you're here anyway. Like, she went through a lot of shit.
That's true, but for the heart of the movie,
I get it.
going through all of that shit,
all that. Yes.
Like, it made you love her even more. So in the second one, you kind of think the dad's a little bit of a dickbag more in the second one than her, because like she's like trusting him to like have his. I would never travel again if I left my kid at home. First of all, secondly,
that's probably true.
This, especially at Christmas,